All right. Hey, guys, what's going on? Chris Alquez here. Thanks for showing up. I have to say that right off the bat. It's feeling good. Thank you to my loyal followers. Woo! Give you a hell yeah. Give you a hell yeah for that. Thanks. The numbers, they're coming up. I'm like, damn, maybe it's starting to make sense. Maybe that's what it is, right? I was out there walking and I'm thinking about, oh, what can I say? What can I say that might affect change? I'm thinking, okay, here's the question of the day. How does it feel? How does it feel for you to go through the process of life? Today's Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday morning. How did it feel from the time you opened your eyes, when you first opened your eyes and you rolled out of bed and you took a quick glance, a reflection on your day? How does it feel? So we're going to divert here. I want to divert here because there's been some confusion about the whole idea of happiness. And that's the gauge. Are you happy? And of course, if you're in a life where you don't have a lot of choices, you're not changing a lot of stuff, of course, you're going to default to acceptance. And what happens when we accept a situation? We find contentment in it. If you want to argue that point, I can tell you there's 1,100 inmates in a federal prison that I worked at, or even more than that. And out of that 1,100, I bet you 1,000 were happy. They weren't happy where they were at, but they had actually found a level of contentment. And the reason they found that was because they didn't have any other choice. So when I ask you, how does it feel? What I'm talking about I'm talking about the bare experience of what you do every day. Not this general idea, well, it's okay, it's not bad. I work harder than I want to, and I don't get enough time off, but it's okay. If you touch it from the standpoint of individual moments where you engage those moments and then you actually consider what it feels like, you probably spend a lot of your time doing stuff that isn't any fun, right? It's not a blast blazing into the grocery store along with millions of other people at the end of the day because you forgot to go shopping or you didn't have time to go shopping over the weekend or you forgot the milk or whatever it is, right? There's nothing fun about it, right? What would you do if I said that this is the only podcast you'll ever have to listen to? This is the only podcast you'll ever have to listen to because in this podcast, I'm going to give you everything you need to know to execute whatever change in your life you want to change. Anything you want to change. We just jump right in here. Let's do it right now. Pick something in your life. Take a minute and pick something in your life that you would like to have an experience, learn something, do something, change something about your life, have more freedom, maybe financial freedom. How does that happen? Well, let's start by why it doesn't happen. If you look at your life, your life is on a level plane. If you don't have something that is pushing you to learn more or to do more, you're on a level plane. Maybe a few bumps, you get some stimulus money or the income tax check comes in. But for the most part, you're on this level plane. How you change that is you insert something new into your life. Well, the struggle comes in because it's about the action and executing consistent action, right? This isn't an issue of you not being able to do sustained struggle. You struggle every day. You spend a month working, you get paid, you struggle through the next month, you get paid. That's just life, right? You run from point A to point B from the time you get up until the time you go to bed, and that's just life, right? So you already know how to do the game of endurance, right? You know how to show up. How do you change it? Well, changing your direction, adding something to your life, it's about action. It's about consistent action. And that's where we fall down. See, for some of us, like myself, it's relatively easy. I've been doing this process a long time, so it's easy for me to affect that change and take action regardless of how it feels. What you have to do in order for you to achieve change in your life is to actually execute without regard to the emotional aspect of it, the idea that it is a choice. I don't show up here every day because I want to all the time. I show up here every day because not showing up here is not a choice. Because just like I have to brush my teeth and take a shower and put my clothes away and the things that I do, this has been going on so long now that it is just another action integrated into my life. I think I got it down, right? I think I got it down. I keep showing up. So let's talk about how you find that desire to create that action. You define it and you do it. You define it and you do it. Now, there's a motivation required there, and the motivation comes from the story. That is the image, the self-actualization that you engage in to actually see where this is going to take you. Because the problem we have, you're not going to find any motivation simply in the idea of accomplishing some goal, like maybe being debt-free. Because there's no experience there. There's nothing there to draw from. So your success begins when you begin to imagine your life in that new state, in that new place where you don't owe anyone anything. I mean, and if you think about it, that's pretty motivating. But the problem we have is most of us don't start there. They start with the plan. Most of us say, okay, New Year's, I'm going to quit drinking. And when actually what they should be saying is, New Year's, I'm going to do whatever it takes to look like this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to save this amount of money because that's going to give me this freedom, right? Build that story. Build that story, right? You're already there. And then remove the emotional aspect and say, all right, do it. Let's do it. Boom. Let's do it. And every time you think you're not, you do it anyway. And you don't make excuses. You just do it. And if the image, if the outcome, the perceived outcome is good enough, you'll find inspiration in it. Now, this is kind of overlapping because there's another side to this, and that is just the image. You can use two sides of that image to motivate change, right? The first is the positive, like I just described. The first is where you say, oh man, it's going to be friggin' amazing to own a boat and have no debt, and we have that small house, and we get to spend every weekend fishing and doing our thing, right? Get that story built up in your head, and it's easy to grab hold of that. But there's the other side of this whole story that'll motivate you to get out of that. And that is when you look at where you are and you go, God, this sucks. God, I can't take it anymore. There's power in that too. When I was, about 23, 25 maybe, and our third child was on the way, and I'm sitting here going, God, I don't have the money. We don't have the money, right? It got so unbearable. I had to make a change, had to make a choice. Because we were drowning. We were not staying afloat, right? So I started looking at my life, and I started looking around, and I used my motivation. I drove my motivation from people around me. I'm like, how come you get to have a fancy-ass car and live in a nice house and I don't? Screw that. I'm changing something, right? And use that attitude, that anger, that frustration that you feel for where you are to motivate you to where you want to be. Now, the cool part about it is that if you do this and you combine both of those objectives or both of those tools, which is make the story as great as it can be about where you're going, and make where you are right now suck so bad, seem so bad that you're pushing yourself out of it, right? I know it sounds crazy, right? I don't know. I did 100 podcasts before I ever sat down and actually realized, I guess I can probably do this, right? I did 100 podcasts. And you just got to grind through it. And if you find an excuse for why you don't take that action, you have to turn back around and you have to redefine that goal. You have to take a look at that image and say, really? Really? And if you have to talk shit to yourself, if you have to lie to yourself in order for you to continue on that path towards your goal, and in it all, what it comes down to is when you pick that thing, it's about how it feels. It's about how it feels, right? And don't mistake this as some trick to get out of the struggle. Because no matter where you are, no matter what your life looks like, you face struggle, right? It's about adding the value or the benefits for that struggle. I would not be an advocate of you quitting your job just because you don't like your job. There were a lot of times when I worked in that federal prison, I hated my job. Hated it, right? But you just keep rolling in, you keep doing it. But it's what you get for that struggle. It's what you get for the time you take to go experience that thing you do to earn that money, right? It doesn't bother me at all that I spent a bunch of money on my fifth wheel because this is a launch pad, right? It's a launch pad for my life. It's a cool deal. I got the best into this one, right? I've been all over the country already, and we're getting ready to go again. And then again, let's go back to it. How does it feel? I'm not walking around singing hip hip hooray every minute of every day, because with goals and obligations like this, because this is both a goal and an obligation. I've committed to myself to talk about this story, and I'm committed to you to making it grow. But part of that ability to show up every day is how it feels. I've convinced myself. You know, it's funny. I was thinking the other day, and I'm excited about working out. I'm looking forward to working out because I've built this story around how important it is, to the point that it's like it's part of my life, right? It's just that, okay, let's get the workout in now, right? It ain't, oh, I got to work out. When you wake up tomorrow morning, take a quick look at your life and all the things you have to do, review it, and then consider each as you go through your day, when you're engaged in each one of those activities, consider how it feels. Think about, how does it really feel? And more than that, ask yourself, is there something else I could do, or I would prefer to be doing, that is better than this, that gives me more value than this, right? Try it. I guarantee it. You will hit it if you just try it. It's that step. It's that process. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you are ready for change, if you're ready to do something different in your life, it's right there in front of you. It's right there in front of you. And all you have to do is take that first step. Be consistent about those actions until you achieve the goal. And if the goal is great enough, if the goal is big enough and has enough value for you, you're unstoppable. Anything is possible. So, hey, keep that in mind. I really appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you for the follows and all that you do. Let's not forget the kindness, and just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.